Here's a picture of Ramses, which the Eurocentrists want to claim is evidence that Ramses was a white man because this is supposedly his mummy. And as you can see, he has reddish hair. So the implication is that if a mummy has red hair, then ergo that mummy must be that of a white man. That is why in the picture on the left you have a picture of a black man to show that who also has white hair. And black men, as they get older, oftentimes the texture of their hair is, and I can show you thousands of pictures like that, more like this, even if it was more kinky prior to that, prior to their aging. Gaston Maspero, 1887. This was in truth the body of Ramses II. The hair is thick, the skin of a brown hue with black marks. The skin of Ramses II is of an earthy brown spotted with black. That's Gaston Maspero, Unwrapping of the Mummies, 1886. Unwrapping of the mummies. That means he was there at the unwrapping of the mummies. That alone and the images prove that he was not a white-skinned man, but a black man. Now, the picture that I'm about to show is very revealing. It is a well-preserved image of Ramses II smiting a leucoderm white-skinned Libyan. And I want you to pay attention. In fact, you can't help but notice it's very obvious that the white-skinned Libyan depicts a typical white man. And I want you to compare that to Ramses II, who is seen in this image. Ramses II, the Black Pharaoh. And then I want you to ponder, how is it that these Eurocentrists, in all of their delusional fantasies, can create this myth that is actually picked up by supposedly intelligent people, that Ramses or any of the other Egyptians, other than those that were Johnny-come-latelys, and we would discuss that as well. There was a time that there were white people who sat on the throne in Egypt, but they were the invaders. They did what they historically have done throughout the world, which is when they go in and invade and conquer other nations. But that was long after the greatness of Egypt had been established by the original Black Pharaohs. Now let's look at the picture. Okay, there you have Ramses II, the Egyptian pharaoh, and you have the white-skinned Libyans being trampled upon. The Eurocentrists never want to show you this picture. How can they possibly explain that? And all of the Libyans are depicted in the same way. Very white skin. These are the white people of Egypt, the ones being trampled on. And as I stated, there was a time when white people did invade the black Egyptian empires, and they did place themselves on the throne, and they did make a few monuments of white people. But you have to understand the chronological order of the empires you are looking at. And anyone that does not understand that the white pharaohs came much later either has not done their homework, or they are delusional, or they are lying to you. One of the three. White, black. Here's another image. This picture here is depicting the Nubians, another black race of Africans whose empires actually preceded the Egyptians. They also had a lot of monuments in Nubia that are very similar to the ones in Egypt. And there was a time also, because there were different hierarchies of rulership in Egypt, to where the Nubians, under King Tarkan, overthrew the Egyptian empire and sat on the throne as well. These are the Caucasians, the Libyans, but all of the others are black. Even though there is the very dark-skinned Africans and the more brown-skinned Africans. Most African Americans are brown-skinned Africans. Very few are black like this. But yet and still, they are our brothers. We are all black. Whether we are this black or this black, we are all black. This is white. This is white. This is black. Simple. This is black. This is black. Now we're going to show you finally two images where Ramses II is shown as the same skin tone of his Nubian counterpart, sometimes identical to the Semites, but Ramses II is never shown with white skin or what is called leucoderm. Watch this. These are the Nubians. And this is Ramses. The Nubians come in various shades. Now, Eurocentrists like to use this image to try to suggest that the Egyptians were not black, because they show pictures of the Egyptians trampling over their enemies who were at one time the Nubians. But what they failed to point out is that yes, you had the very black-skinned Nubians, who are the ones obviously being trampled upon. And unlike the white Libyans, they come in various shades. They point out the ones who are very black-skinned, but they ignore the fact that many of the Nubians are depicted by the Egyptians with the exact same skin hue as them. They did this purposely. They obviously used only a few different shades of color, and they wanted to show and make a distinction. And they wanted to show the difference, because this is what the Nubians were like. This is how they were depicted. And many of them were exactly the same as the Egyptians. And with that, I rest my case.